The cold winter weather is coming, and the team at Peerless Boilers, they're ready to help you prepare for this season. It's time to make sure your home is nice and warm for the cold weather. Save loads of money on your fuel bill. Do it now before it's too late and you've got a mess on your hands. Start thinking about replacing your old beast of a boiler with a new high-efficiency Peerless Boiler. Go to peerlessboilers.com, pop in your zip code, and you'll find a dealer near you. Remember, Peerless Boilers, the world's best-built boilers, and proud sponsor of Sid and Friends in the Morning, live from Israel.
This episode is brought to you by FedEx. FedEx knows running a small business is hard enough without the hassle of shipping. That's why there's FedEx One Rate. With FedEx One Rate, you can ship your holiday packages cheaper than the post office for as low as $14.50 for small boxes. Visit FedEx.com/OneRate for details. Exclusions apply. Valid through January 19th, 2025. FedEx One Rate. 2-day retail shipping, one flat rate.
This is Sid and Friends in the Morning.
77 WABC.
It's been 1 week since you looked at me. Cocked your head to the side and said I'm angry.
My beautiful wife, Danielle. Danielle's the best. She just ran down a litany of things that Chris Cuomo has done and said over the years. From his COVID fiasco. Remember him? He was a COVID general, and then he would go outside and go to bars and walk up and down stairs with cameramen there and lied about all of that. And, well, he's just a reprobate. He's a bad guy. And that's okay. He can do what he wants to do. And Geraldo and Joe and Mika and Rachel Maddow and Nicole Wallace, because they're all wonderful people, and I'm a Nazi. So they should read this column. It's coming out today in Israel, in the World Israel News. The name of it is Sid Rosenberg's Explosive Trip to Israel. What you didn't hear, New York's #1 radio broadcaster's message is clear. Israel's future hangs in the balance, and we must stand with our greatest ally now more than ever. And then Linda Sedaka and Michael Gerbitz, who will both join me coming up in about 45 minutes, detail the whole trip, from visiting Sderot to going to Judea and Samaria, to spending time with President Herzog and Bibi Netanyahu, to President Trump calling in on that October 7th morning. But I'm the Nazi, right? And I'm the bad guy because I came out and I badmouthed Hillary Clinton at the rally, which I will tell you right now, I have zero remorse for and would do it again. Because what they've been doing, these Democrats, in an attempt to beat up Donald Trump, and even me, even his supporters, is so grotesque and so despicable that any decent person, and certainly any decent Jewish person, would come to the same conclusion that I have. Now, I said some bad things about Democrats in general. I did, because I'm really embarrassed by the Democrat Jews. I'm embarrassed by them. I'm sorry. But I still have Democrat family and friends I love, like Alan Dershowitz. I love this guy like he's my father, my uncle, my brother. But I'm disappointed in so many. And that was basically what I said Sunday at the Garden, with a few expletives. With that said, here he is, the greatest attorney of all time, my dear friend, Alan Dershowitz. Alan, good morning, buddy. How are you?
I'm doing great, but I'm not a Democrat. I am no longer a Democrat. Did you see Bernie Sanders this morning on television?
No, I did not.
Promising that if Harris gets elected, the policies toward Israel will change. There will no longer be support for Netanyahu. There will no longer be support for efforts to try to destroy Hamas and Hezbollah. I am not a Democrat. Look, said, I didn't like what you said about all the Democrats. You didn't like it either. You were caught up in the moment. But the idea that anybody would call you or the people who are at Madison Square Garden Nazis is a form of Holocaust denial. Let's be clear about that. Calling Trump Hitler is Holocaust denial. Calling Republicans Nazis is Holocaust denial. What it says is the Holocaust wasn't so bad. There were a couple of rallies. There were a couple of people standing and making bad jokes. That's what the Holocaust was all about. It denies the gas chambers. It denies the shooting squads. Anytime you analogize current political people to Hitler and to Nazis, you're diminishing the power of the Holocaust. And that's what's so wrong with that. And that's why I never use those analogies. Look, there are appropriate times to use analogies to, for example, Nazi youth. when people on university campuses today, including my own universities, refuse to allow students to go to class, that is reminiscent of what young Nazis did in the 1930s, not the 1940s when there was the Holocaust. You can't make analogies to the Holocaust, but you can make analogies to young Nazis who were preventing Jewish students and Jewish professors from going to class. So it's important to keep the message straight. Look, I have nothing but contempt for that dumb comedian.
Me too.
Who got up there. Nobody listened to him. He was a preliminary act, and he made outrageous statements about one of my favorite places in the world. I love visiting Puerto Rico. I went to weddings there, bar mitzvahs there. I have friends there. I have argued cases involving Puerto Rico. So I want to dissociate myself completely, and I think most decent people want to dissociate themselves completely from that dumb comedian.
Well, we do. Let me stop you for a second. We do. I mean, I was at that rally. I couldn't stand that guy. Listen, part of my honeymoon with Danielle was spent in San Juan and Puerto Rico. And last year, after October the 7th, when I was exhausted, Alan, and getting death threats and had to get away, where did Danielle and I go last December? Back to San Juan, Puerto Rico. I love the place. Yeah,
we have something in common more than our support for Israel.
Yeah.
I went on my honeymoon to Puerto Rico.
Oh, that's funny.
To the Caribe Hilton Hotel. I carried
Stop
with
it.
me.
Stop. Alan.
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 Kosher food to
Yes.
eat during my honeymoon.
You're not gonna believe this, but last December, literally months ago, and we're going back this December, we stayed at the Caribe Hilton Hotel.
Yeah, I loved it. Yeah.
But you're right.
So
look.
Let's put aside. I hope that Donald Trump today has a press conference. I hope he condemns that comedian. Made a mistake bringing him on. There was no place for a kind of comedian who is known for being an abuse comedian like that. And but that shouldn't affect anybody's vote.
Do you think it will?
I think it may, and I think he has to handle it delicately. Look, Geraldo Rivera went off after him. You can understand that. Geraldo is, half Jewish, half Puerto Rican, and he loves Puerto Rico, so you can understand it was a personal affront, but don't necessarily attribute it to all Republicans or even to the Republican candidate for president. Look, I worry much more about the future, about relationships between the United States and Israel. I worry what happens if Bernie Sanders and AOC become more influential in the country because the Democrats win. I am no longer a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. I'm an independent. I'm voting down the line. I'm going to decide which candidate is best for America, for world peace, for Israel. In every instance, I'll vote for some Republicans. I'll vote for some Democrats. But I am never going to vote straight line Democrat. And frankly, I don't care if the Republicans or the Democrats control the Senate or the House. I want to vote for individual candidates who are best for the values that I and many of my friends and family agree with. It. I think that's the way people should vote. You should vote for individual candidates based on their own qualifications.
I think that's fair. I think what's funny too, Alan, is that because people respect you so much, it's a testimony to you. They're really, really curious to who you're voting for. I swear, Alan, more people go to me, what is Dersh going to do? I go, he's a big boy. He's going to do what he wants to do. So the question I have for you is, in all honesty, you say, I'm going to vote. Who I want to vote. We're now 1 week away. One week from today is Election Day. Is Alan Dershowitz, right now you're sitting on the stand, you put your hand on the Bible, you swore to it moments ago. Is Alan Dershowitz telling me this morning, 1 week before the election, he has still not made up his mind who he's voting for yet for the presidency?
I can tell you right now that I don't know. As between Trump and Harris, right now, I'm having great difficulty. I support Harris on many domestic issues. I support Trump on economic and foreign policy issues. And, these are hard questions. But the one reason I haven't been announcing or supporting or anybody is because I don't want my vote to influence anybody. My vote is personal. It depends on so many factors. As you know, it involves family members. I have family members who care so deeply. So, I don't want people to say, oh, my God, Dershowitz is voting for X, therefore I should vote for X. I don't think people should do that in any event, but in my case particularly because my vote is so personal and it involves so many factors that don't relate to other people that I don't want to endorse anybody.
It's interesting, going back to the Israel conflict for a second, because, again, you're so close to it and Bibi loves you. We keep taking these attacks, ballistic missiles, well over 300 over the last 2 attacks combined. And then we come back and we hit like a military-industrial complex. We haven't touched oil fields. We haven't touched nuclear facilities. And certainly not trying to kill any of the lovely Lebanese people. They're great people all over Lebanon. But, they keep coming back with, well, we don't really want to escalate. Now, Iran has said it. Israel has said it. Do you believe them?
I believe that the United States should support Israel in destroying Iran's capability of making nuclear weapons. Look, do you know what Israel did today? You wouldn't read it in the New York Times. Israel surrounded 600 terrorists in northern Gaza, didn't kill them, surrounded them, and arrested them. Is that what a genocidal country could do? Israel had the perfect right. If you have 800 or 600, no matter how many terrorist combatants, you can kill every single one of them. There's no rule of proportionality that limits the number of combatants you can kill. But Israel arrested them, surrounded them, and arrested them. That's not what a genocidal country does. And when you hear anybody, today on CNN this morning, they had a pro-Palestinian, anti-Israel person from Detroit or from Michigan, and the CNN person didn't ask a single hard question. All this anti-Israel advocate was saying was Israel is killing this, killing that. Not a word about who started it, not a word about the hostages. CNN has become anti-Israel in so many ways. Now, there are a couple of people on CNN that at least struggle with the issue. I see it in their faces, but there are so many that just are knee-jerk anti-Israel the way so many in the Democratic Party, particularly the so-called progressive woke wing of the Democratic Party. I want to see them resoundingly defeated. I have another wish. I want to see Pennsylvania go Republican. I want to see Harris punished for not picking a Jewish running mate, and the only reason she didn't pick Shapiro was because he was Jewish.
100%.
There's no doubt about that.
No doubt.
And I want to see her punished for that.
You're 100% right. He wanted it. She wouldn't do it because she was worried about Michigan, Minnesota, and quite frankly doesn't like Jewish people. The good news for you then is if you want Trump to win Pennsylvania badly, the Trump campaign recruited me just 2 days ago, Bill White, and at the very, very last Trump rally, he won't be there, but his surrogates will be there. Saturday night in Pennsylvania, I am leading the efforts. I'm actually going to Philadelphia to help Trump win that state. So
you're gonna have some pushback from the 400,000 dedicated people of Pennsylvania who are Puerto Rican by background, who are going to say, "How do we vote for somebody who allowed somebody in his rally to call all of Puerto Rico a garbage?"
Well, you're right.
But you have to be prepared for that.
But Trump doesn't believe that. I don't believe that. But you're right. You're right. Yeah, they're going to attach it to us. So I'd be remiss on the way out. I've got Box and Friends on in the studio right now, and they're talking to Alex Rodriguez. And I wanted to bring this up with you last week because you're a great baseball guy. You're a Brooklyn Dodger guy. Yankees-Dodgers dated all the way back to the first Yankee win, 1941, and the first Dodger win, which you remember like yesterday when the Brooklyn Dodgers finally won it in 1955. It looks like... I
really remember it. I own Don Zimmer's World Series ring from 1955. I'm wearing it right now.
Is that right?
Says Don Zimmer. Remember, Don Zimmer played second base in Game 7 because Jackie Robinson was not feeling well. And, of course, that incredible last game, I had promised myself, if the Dodgers win the World Series finally, I'm going to go to shul all the time and pray. And so I did. I kept my word, but God acts in strange ways. He then moves the Dodgers out of Brooklyn to Los Angeles. Sandy Koufax, my next-door neighbor. I grew up on the same block where Sandy and his father, Irving, the lawyer, lived, 48th Street, between 14th and 15th. I was between 15th and 16th. Sandy moves to Los Angeles and becomes the greatest pitcher in baseball history. God works in strange ways.
So are you watching, the Yankees have beaten the Dodgers 8, right? So you're about to get the 4th win in 12 tries. You're still a big Dodger fan.
Yeah, no, I was a Dodger fan. For a while I hated the Dodgers because they moved to Los Angeles. I hated the Yankees, but I now like the Yankees. I like Randy Levine. I like some of the people who are who are involved in the Yankees. So, I'm a Red Sox fan now. Brooklyn Dodgers, Red Sox, same thing. For a while, they never won anything, and then, of course, the Red Sox became very powerful. Now they're losing it all. But, I have to tell you, the owner of the Red Sox was my close friend, and he used to invite me to games all the time. He invited me on his airplane. And then when I defended Donald Trump on the floor of the Senate, the owner of the Red Sox refused to take my calls, wouldn't invite me to a game, and I've had ambivalence about the Red Sox ever since.
Wow, I don't blame you. Well, listen, it is great to catch up with you. I love you so much. And now I got to talk to you before next Tuesday because a week from today, you're going to make that decision. In fact, on the way out, let's just say, hypothetically, you vote for Trump. Let's just say that, okay?
Yeah.
Now, let's be honest. I know your wife and your son, and I love them, and you love them. There's no way in a million years you can publicly come out and say you voted for him, even if you did. I mean, honestly, right? So you're going to have to.
I love sleeping with my wife.
Right.
I love it.
I get it. Trust me. I mean, look, I'll tell you the guys. I took a picture on Sunday with Tucker Carlson, okay? And Danielle said, "You're not going to post that picture, are you?" And I said, "Of course not, sweetheart."
My wife and I were both with Donald Trump at the Jewish Israel event about 3 weeks ago in Washington, D.C. He came over to me and he shook my hand. He went over to Carolyn. I said, "Carolyn, can't you persuade your husband to vote for me?"
He actually said that?
Yeah. He loves Carolyn.
Yeah.
And he's finally, as we walked out, he said to me and Carolyn, "Alan, do what's best for your family." That's what he said.
I believe he said that.
Best for your family.
Yeah, I believe that. Yeah, he's a Nazi. There you go.
That's a terrible thing to say about anybody, and it's Holocaust denial. That's the worst thing. It's a form of Holocaust denial. If you tell young kids that the Trump and the Republicans are Nazis and Hitler, what you're telling them is there was no Holocaust.
That's right. I don't know if you watched Rachel Maddow last night. This is unbelievable.
I would never watch her.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, here's what she did. She took my part of my speech where I talked about how it's out of character for me to be at a Nazi rally. She did not include the 3 minutes prior where I talked about my trip to Israel and how important it was. And she literally, Alan, attached my clip to the actual footage from the 1939 Nazi rally.
You were there. I know you were there. I remember because I was sitting right next to you. And we were putting our hands up, and we had those little swastika signs up. Well, the best proof of that is I live right near there. I live in Yorktown, right where the Nazis used to parade down the street in 1939. You and I were among them. And I saw Donald Trump in the distance and Melania. They were all there. We were there. We were eyewitnesses. Put us on CNN. Put us on MSNBC. We'll testify.
Alan, you're just a treasure. I love you. Thank you for coming on this morning. Thank you.
Thank you.
See you later. That's my friend Alan Dershowitz. He was funny as hell this morning, my man Alan D. How about that? Huh? How about your boy Dersh?
Apparently, but hopefully, everybody still knows it's a joke.
Yeah,
nobody has a sense of humor.
Well, they have no sense of humor, or they're agenda-driven like the Katie Courics of the world, or they're stupid, like MSNBC.
Stupid, no sense of humor.
That's right.
Joke.